Welcome to Love Alchemy Radio on Intention Radio with our host Mary Chambers. A spiritual journey to divine love, love of self, love for others, and unconditional love for all. Igniting people to heal, find their purpose, and live their dreams. You are your alchemist of your life.
And welcome back to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is your host, Mary Chambers. The Love Alchemy is about transforming love, love of self, love for others, and unconditional love, creating universal love, and igniting your passion. When you ignite your passion, you are living with purpose. Today, I am so excited to welcome back my guest, Garnet Schulhauser. He's the author of Dancing on a Stamp, and today he is sharing his newest book, Dancing Forever with Spirit. So, Garnet, I am so excited to have you back. Thank you again for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Mary. I'm always happy to be on your show.
Well, that's because we're so excited about the great things that you're creating, so we want to share it with the universe. Let's step back for those of our audience that didn't really get to catch your last interview. Could you just share a little bit of your experience about your book, Dancing on a Stamp?
Right. Well, Dancing on a Stamp describes my dialogue with my spirit guide, Albert. And how I met Albert the first time, I was still practicing law then. And I was strolling down the street one afternoon, and all of a sudden this homeless man jumped out in front of me and just sort of stopped me in my tracks. And he looked like a typical homeless man, except that he had these amazing, dazzling, sparkling blue eyes that sort of filled me with pure unconditional love. And so that started, it turned out he was actually my spirit guide, Albert. He was disguised as a homeless man, and he had disguised himself in order to sort of get my attention. And after that, we had a series of conversations. The first 3 times were when he appeared to me physically as the homeless man, and the rest of the time he was a voice in my head, and we communicated by telepathy. And I asked him all the big questions, the eternal questions of life that I had been asking myself over and over, like, who am I? Why am I here? What's my life's purpose? And then, of course, the big one, what happens to me when I die? And so Albert, very wise spirit, said he came to answer my questions, and he did, and many others, and he asked me to write a book about our dialogue so that everyone else could read his revelations. And that led to me to writing Dancing on a Stamp.
So if you could share with the audience your experience, just, you had mentioned that he just was disguised as a homeless person. What was your knowingness that he was truly your spirit guide?
Well, I knew initially he was special. He was different than most of the homeless people I had encountered on the street, Mary. He was very different because of his amazing blue eyes and the way his gaze was penetrating deep into my soul and sending this warm love, rush of unconditional love, which was really quite an amazing feeling. So I knew there was something special about this guy, and but I didn't know quite what yet. And so it wasn't until after I had been sitting on the bench with him for a while, and we were having our dialogue, that he finally said to me, you don't remember this, but you and I have known each other for a long time because we've lived many lives together in the past. But right now, I'm one of your spirit guides, and and my name is Albert, and I'm here to answer your questions and help you on your journey. So that was when I knew exactly who he was. But on the very first encounter, I knew he was somebody special, just because of the way he could just fill me with this amazing wave of unconditional love, which is such an amazing feeling, Mary, that I could have just stood there forever. But of course, he didn't let me do that because he was on a mission. His mission was to answer my questions and get me to write a book about our adventures.
Wow. To me, this is what some people would say miracle-based, but we all have spirit guides, and we have those messengers that come to speak to us regarding our purpose and our passion. So this ignited you to finally decide to walk away from a very lucrative opportunity, right? As a lawyer, you said that it was very lucrative. During our last interview, you had great success with it, but there was something that was really nudging you. So when Albert came into your life, you had started the book of Dancing on a Stamp, and it goes through and explains your journey with Albert. So share with the audience this latest attraction that you have to share with your new book.
Well, after I sort of finished my initial dialogue with Albert, which led to me writing Dancing Forever Spirit, Albert kind of disappeared for a while, and he wasn't around, and I was wondering, where he was and what was the next step, because he had told me right at the beginning that I was going to write not one book, but 4 or 5 or even more. And so, having finished the first book, I was getting restless about writing the second book, but I knew the second book had to be more revelations from Albert and more wisdom from Albert, and I couldn't do it on my own. So I hadn't heard from him for a few months, and then he appeared again, but in a very different kind of way. I was asleep in my bed one night, and I woke up because I heard a noise, and there was this shimmering ethereal figure standing in the doorway of my bedroom. It's sort of like a ghost-like figure, and I didn't recognize what it was until that figure moved closer towards me, and then I could see it was Albert as the homeless man, but in astral form. And there he was standing in my bedroom. So I sat up and I said, "Hi, Albert, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, I've come to take you on your next set of adventures. I was waiting until you were ready to go, and now I think you are, so I want you to come with me." And I said, "Well, like, where are we going, and how long are we going to be away, and what am I going to tell, or what is my wife going to think when she wakes up and I'm not there? Like, how do we handle this, Albert?" And he said, "Not to worry." He said, "Well, you're going on an out-of-body astral adventure, and you'll be back in your body before your wife wakes up." So he reached out with his hand, and I grabbed his hand, and he basically sort of pulled my astral body out of my physical body. And I turned around to look, and there my physical body was still sound asleep in my bed beside my wife and our little dog. And Albert, amazing experience, because I never traveled astrally before that I remember anyway. So then he just said, "Come, follow me." So he just we rose up, just like as light as a feather. We rose up through the ceiling, up through the clouds. When you're in astral form, Mary, you go through walls, you can go through anything, because you're at a very high vibration rate. And solid matter just doesn't stop you. So anyway, so he led me. We rose up into the sky, through the clouds, high above Earth, and then he led me to this doorway. It was sort of a shimmering doorway, and we went through the doorway, and we went into the spirit side, which is where we all came from before we're born, and where we'll all go after we die. And so the first thing that I encountered was this beautiful meadow. It was like lush green grass and beautiful trees, and an amazing array of wildflowers in 100 different colors, like colors that you can't imagine, you don't see on Earth. It was almost indescribable, but it was very beautiful. And so we strolled through this meadow for a ways, and then we went down the slope of a hill, and there I saw a group of people standing at the bottom of the hill. And when I got closer, I recognized them. There was my mother and my father, my brother, my grandparents, and various aunts and uncles who had passed away before me. And even my little dog, Oscar, who had passed away about 10 years ago, he came running up to me with his tail wagging and his body wiggling to give me a lick on my face. So this was these are spirits who had already passed over. So it was really quite exciting. Although I have to say I was a little apprehensive about meeting with my mother, because in my book, Dancing on a Stamp, I was not really kind to the Catholic Church. And my mother was a very staunch Catholic. And so I was concerned that she would be upset with me about what I wrote in my book, Dancing on a Stamp. But anyway, my fears were soon allayed, because she just gave me a warm hug and said, not to worry. She said, if I was still on Earth, I probably would be upset with you for writing your book. But now that I'm here, I see the entire big picture, and I think you did a great job, and I want you to continue with the good work. So that was just I breathed a sigh of relief. It was like, okay, I'm all okay now with my mom. And of course, all the other relatives were in the same way. So that was really quite a reunion, and it's the kind of reunion that we all expect to get when we pass over permanently from here. It's similar to some of the near-death experiences that people have described where they're on their deathbed in the hospital and they go up to heaven or the spirit side or whatever, and they encounter usually a group like this, and it's very warm and welcoming, full of unconditional love. And in those cases, the family says, okay, you're not due here yet. You have to go back to Earth. And of course, I knew that I wasn't staying on the spirit side on a permanent basis, that I had to go back. But it was really nice meeting them, and it just reaffirmed what Albert had been telling me all along, was that we're eternal souls. We don't die, and when we leave our physical incarnations, we go back to the spirit side, back to our home. And it's just basically reaffirmed that. So for anybody out there who has lost a loved one and wonders, are they all right? Where are they? What happened to them? I wish you could have had the experience that I did, because it would really confirm that your loved ones are still very much alive and well on the spirit side, and they're just in a different space, and they will be there to greet you when you die one day yourself. So it was very nice.
Right. So could you share? I mean, how does one understand that there is life after death? I mean, if you were to look at it, you're living this in this physical plane, being able to share this in an astral plane. How does one person that doesn't necessarily believe that there isn't life after death, do they actually call it heaven, or what do they call it? So let me step back. Let me rewind that one. So Garnet, let me ask you a question. Being there in the astral plane and being able to see your loved ones and your family members, first of all, how did it make you feel? And then how does one truly believe this experience that you're telling the audience, that there really truly is, your loved ones really are okay, so that it would help the people here that are still on Earth settle their souls?
Well, I mean, it was a very real experience, Mary, because, and some people have asked me, well, how do you know when you woke up the next day that you didn't just have a dream? And I said, because my memories of my astral travels with Albert, including that trip to the spirit side, were so much more vivid and lucid than any dream I've ever had, and in fact more vivid than any memory I've had of my waking life. Like, it was just incredibly sharp and stayed with me for a long time afterwards, so that I could actually write notes about what I saw, for my book. So there's no doubt in my mind that it's very real. I don't know what to say to people, because until you've actually experienced it, you may still have some doubts. You just have to. I mean, it's not just me. Other people have gone to the spirit side with near-death experiences. There's lots of mediums around that you can go and talk to your loved ones who have passed on to get confirmation that they are still alive and well. There's no way that science, our current science, can prove that there's life after death. But there's so much evidence, if you look around you, that you should feel comfortable that that I'm not, when my physical body dies, my soul will go on, and I'll go back to, it doesn't matter whether you call it heaven or the spirit side or the other side or home. It's all the same thing. It's where you came from before you're born and where you're going to go back. And that happens regardless of how you lived your life. So good guys go back there, bad people go back there. That's just the way it is. And there's no other place to go. There's no hell, and we all go back there. So people just have to take it on faith that their loved ones who've passed on are still there. In fact, they do watch over us on Earth. They do try to communicate with us, but we don't always hear what they're saying. We get so busy in our lives, we don't always hear those messages, so we don't always have that sort of positive confirmation. But right. I can just reassure everyone that is what happens. So
we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, can you share with the audience, with the Dancing on a Stamp, your experience about going over to the other side and some things that maybe they told you? And we'll be right back.
You've been listening to Love Alchemy Radio on Intention Radio with our host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. Humanity's purpose is recovery and to love all things. A spiritual journey to divine love. Heal your heart, awaken your purpose, and live.
Imagine hundreds and even thousands of people from around the globe gathered together for 15 minutes once a week with a purpose to focus their attention on one intention of love or abundance or health or world peace. Can you feel the power of this gathering? If so, join your brothers and sisters every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. That's 10 p.m. London time for 15 minutes that will change your life and the world around you at www.intentioncall.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is your host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. The Love Alchemy Show is about transforming love. Love for self, love for others, and unconditional love. Igniting your passion. When you ignite your passion, you are living with purpose. To find out more about the Love Alchemy Radio Show or Monumental Moments, go to www.monumentalmoments.net. To receive a free coaching session, text Ignite Passion to 33733. That was Ignite Passion to 33733. Or email me at monumentalmoments13@yahoo.com. Thank you again for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. My name is Mary Chambers. I'm your host, and we have the amazing Garnet Schulhauser. He is here sharing his experience with Dancing on a Stamp, which is his book that explains and expresses his spirit guide, Albert, and his experience astroplaning to the other side that we originally came from. And here today, he's also then going to introduce his new book, Dancing Forever with Spirit. Garnet, I had asked you before break if you could share the experience of some of the communication, some of the things that you shared with your loved ones as you took this journey with Albert. Were there any things that they told you? Were there certain messages, anything that you could share with the audience?
Yes, except the messages didn't come from my loved ones. My meeting with them was very brief but very warm. And then the message I was to get came from a different group. And Albert led me away after I met with my family through to a beautiful white city on the spirit side called Aglaia. And there we went into this beautiful building called the Hall of Wisdom. And there I appeared in front of this committee. It's called the Council of Wise Ones. And they're a group of 11 very wise old souls who sat around sort of a horseshoe-shaped table. They were beautiful people with white hair, wearing golden robes and with white sashes and beautiful countenances. They're just like amazingly striking people. And I found out from them that the Council of Wise Ones is the body or the committee who oversees all the incarnations on our planet, on Earth. Mm-hmm. And so they were very concerned about humanity and where we were and where we're going. And so they gave me some messages, and the main message was, look, humans, you progressed a long way from the early caveman days. You developed a lot of great technology, but your emotional intelligence hasn't progressed in step with your technological advances. And they said we're at a crossroads essentially. We're at a threshold where we can either move on to take the next step towards spiritual enlightenment, or if we don't, we may end up destroying all life on our planet, including ourselves. Because we've developed all these weapons of mass destruction. We can literally destroy all life on the planet if we misuse it. And so what they said was that we have to sort of get over this. We have to embrace love and get rid of our negative emotions, which will allow us to increase our vibrations so that we can move up the ladder of spiritual enlightenment. Ultimately, if we increase our vibrations enough, we'll end up in what they call, or some people call, the new Earth, in a higher vibrational plane, another dimension. And right. That is the goal we need to seek, but we can't do that as long as we harbor the negative emotions, and we've got to stop abusing Mother Earth. We have to stop abusing the other creatures on our planet, and we have to stop abusing each other. And we certainly have the capability to do that. It's just a matter of getting on the right path, and everyone who is enlightened, like you, Mary, and now I am. We have to sort of do our best to spread our message to encourage other people, to reject the negative emotions and try to increase our vibrations. And they said,
right.
It's possible for us to do that. Not everyone will make the shift at the same time, but those who are capable of and who see the light have to help everyone else. And eventually we can do that. And the downside is if we don't do that, we could just end up destroying our civilization, just like a number of other civilizations in our past have done so, like the notable ones like Atlantis, Lemuria, and they said there's been a number of other ones where they've risen up from nothing, peaked, and then destroyed themselves and collapsed. And it's so they were very concerned that they didn't want to see this happen again. And they said that there's been a lot of people trying to help us. We have other alien races in the galaxy who've been around for a long time, observing and helping us. And the Council of Wise Ones lately has been sending, the last 50 or 60 years, has been sending more advanced souls to incarnate as humans on Earth to sort of help everyone else by setting an example of embracing, unconditional love. And so there's a lot of people trying to help us, but we need to sort of bear down and focus on what we're doing to avoid a disaster.
So I'm excited for you because number one, you're stepping out. You went away from something that was at a time, very financially stable. Your life was set up, but there was something more than what that you were supposed to complete on this planet. It's about our mission and our purpose. And for you to be able to get out and share this with everybody, that really takes a lot of brave power. A girlfriend and I were talking the other day and talking about the different steps that we take, and every one of us that become enlightened, the workers, just like yourself and me and many others that are light workers out there that are working to help shift people and humanity in a way of enlightenment as far as body, mind, and spirit, truly coming into the essence of their purpose and their passion. Therefore, just like Jesus Christ said, you use your talents and you will reap the rewards as far as abundance. And we were talking about different things that each one of us have to complete. And there's been a lot of us, and I will attest that myself, that, okay, but I got to get out there and I'm not sure exactly how. But the process happens. It unveils little by little. So she says, Mary, remember, Jesus Christ walked this earth and spoke the parables. However, not everybody understood the language, and they crucified him for it, right? So for audience, give Garnet some credit here for getting out here and explaining to you this experience that he is sharing with you. It happens to every one of us, and it's all going to be a different time, place, and reality, and not everything is always revealed or unveiled at one time. There's a process that you go through. That's why Garnet is here sharing his book, what he has to offer as an author. He's living his purpose and living his dream to share with the masses what we need to do to get out of the destructiveness and get into the love and the acceptance and the forgiveness that we're creating on this planet. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Love Alchemy Radio on Intention Radio with our host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. Humanity's purpose is recovery and to love all things. A spiritual journey to divine love. Heal your heart, awaken your purpose, and live.
Aloha. Thank you for joining us here at Intention Radio. David, your host again, just passing on my gratitude for you that are joining us and sharing your vibration with us. I quite often speak about vibration. A lot of our guests and our hosts do too. The heart is very powerful, and I do mean electronically. We are sending out vibrations with every breath we take, with every heartbeat we take. Thank you ever so much for sharing yours with ours. We do look forward to sharing ours with yours. That is what this community is about. And for those of you that are inquisitive about being a guest on Intention Radio or a host, please join us, because you will become part of the family, closer-knit part of that family. All of us are. Thank you for joining us at Intention Radio.
Join me, Soraya Dean, as we explore conversations at the Peace Table every Tuesday on intentionradio.com.
Imagine thousands of people from around the globe gathered together for 15 minutes to change the world. Well, it's happening. Every Saturday on the Intention Call, in your car, at work, walking, driving, or working out, you can join us. Visit www.intentioncall.com and download the free app to be part of this massive movement. Join the world's largest intention call at www.intentioncall.com. See you this Saturday.
Hi, this is Kimberly Sherry with Heal.
Hello, everyone. It's Tamara Gold with Empowered Living. You are listening to Intention Radio.
And you're listening to intentionradio.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is your host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. The Love Alchemy Show is about transforming love. Love for self, love for others, and unconditional love. Igniting your passion. When you ignite your passion, you are living with purpose. To find out more about the Love Alchemy Radio Show or Monumental Moments, go to www.monumentalmoments.net. To receive a free coaching session, text Ignite Passion to 33733. That was Ignite Passion to 33733, or email me at monumentalmoments13@yahoo.com. Thank you again for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is Mary Chambers, your host, and oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. Hearing this story that Garnet is sharing with us today just gives me goosebumps, and I hope that it's giving everyone else here goosebumps. What these goosebumps are is our guides, is our mentors from another world, from around us, our spirit guides, our ascended masters, the council that Garnet's talking about. These are elements beyond what we can visually see, but they are there because they're here to help us. Garnet, you were talking to the audience about we all need to wake up. We all need to step into our power and do what we're supposed to do on this planet so that we save this planet and treat it in this universal love. Tell us about your experience now you had shared regarding dancing on a stamp. Now, the second part of this is your experience through astroplaning with Albert. Is this what you're going to share with us with Dancing Forever with Spirit?
Yeah, the whole book, Dancing Forever with Spirit, chronicles my astral adventures with Albert, and so the spirit side was our first stop there in our trek. But he took me to many other places, and as time permits, I'll tell you a bit about some of the other ones. But to reinforce the message that the council gave me, Albert took me back down to earth, and he showed me some of the awful things that humanity is doing, like the pollution that's causing to Mother Earth, the abuse to animals. He took me to see a shark finning boat in Southeast Asia, where they were hauling in these live sharks, cutting off their fins, and then while they're still alive, throwing them back into the water where they would suffocate or perish. And all they kept was the fins, because they wanted to have room for as many fins as possible. And you know why? For shark fin soup, which was really quite amazing. It was awful. I couldn't hardly look at it. And then he took me to Africa, and I went to a field where there was dozens of dead, slaughtered elephants, and they were slaughtered by poachers to get their tusks for the ivory. And he explained to me that the poachers had got more sophisticated. That instead of just shooting the elephants, they had now learned to use cyanide, poison the elephants with cyanide so you could kill a whole bunch at once. Anyway, it was awful. And he was just saying, look, this is some of the things that your fellow humans are doing, and there's no reason for it. You don't need shark fin soup to live, and you don't need ivory for trinkets and whatever else they use it for. Like, it was a horrible abuse of animals. And then he showed me some of the things some of the abuse we heap on each other, with the torture and the killings and letting people in Somalia starve because we don't share our resources. And so it's quite a dismal picture. But then he said, look, don't get too discouraged, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and light is that if we can turn the course and get ourselves back on the straight and narrow, there is the new earth, making the shift to the new earth, which will be really quite amazing. So he actually took me through the interdimensional doorway, and we visited the new earth in a higher dimension, which exists the same time as we are right now. It's in a higher dimension. And I met with some of the people in a civilization there of humans who had made the shift, who had increased their vibrations and were living in the new earth. And they had a very idyllic society. I mean, it was there was no negative emotions, no crime. There was no money. Everyone lived with everything they ever wanted in a material sense, and they consumed only liquid food derived from plants in the metals in the forests. They didn't kill other animals. They didn't abuse each other. It was a very peaceful, harmonized society, and the people there said that they had actually got there from a mass ascension eons ago. They at one time had been living in Central America, and they had a nice civilization which had gotten rid of most of their negative emotions. They had everything they wanted off the land, and they didn't have any crime. So they were living in a fairly peaceful world on our Earth, but years ago. And what happened was that they discovered that there was another tribe of very barbaric humans that were coming, encroaching on their territory. And these other humans were very fierce and barbaric, and they had weapons, and they didn't mind killing other people to get what they wanted. And so this civilization that made the ascension, before they did, they lived a peaceful life. They didn't have weapons. They didn't harm other people. So they didn't know how to fight, and they knew that it would be a disaster if this barbaric group got to their city. So some of the leaders who were very enlightened communicated with spirit and found a way to get them out of their predicament. And they worked on the people and did regular meditations, and then on the final day, they all went into a deep meditation, saying a special mantra that the leaders had gotten from spirit. And then after about an hour of that, one of them rose up and said, "Ascend," and everything became sort of foggy. And when the fog dissipated, they were back in their village, except they were in the new earth, and the barbarians had been left behind. And so that's how they did actually a mass ascension up to the new earth. But that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, ascensions are done on an individual basis, so that one day you're here, next day you're on the new earth, and you just go. That's usually how it happens, and usually it's piecemeal, one at a time. Sometimes it's in small groups. But he had to show me the new earth and the civilization to say, look, this is the carrot out there. You and everyone else can get there if you just focus on what's important, which is embracing love and discarding, all of your negative emotions. That's how you increase your vibrations. So there's hope for us. We just have to focus on where we should be going and just try to be nice to everyone and love, all the people on the planet, all the creatures, and our planet itself.
So was there any extra messages? I mean, because everything that you're saying is all of the things that we talk with our clients, potential clients in life coaching. And the life coaching aspect of that is to help people get to that point where they increase their vibration. They really take ownership of the vessel that they have been chosen to, the soul, we're humans living this soul living this human experience. But more importantly, I think people are just 3D still in the mindset of, okay, well, it's still my vessel, but I still, am not going to honor it. Well, it's all about that self-love before you can move forward and love other things. So it's every aspect of their life, of an individual's life, right? Their body, mind, and spirit. Clearing themselves of the energy and the vibrations that no longer serve them. Building their foundation within their soul, to create this greatness towards this ascension. Now, to me, are you excited about this, when we talk about death, right? Our goal is to increase our vibration so that when we do pass on, we're going to this new earth. Is that what you're saying? Or are we here, creating heaven on earth? Because to me, I don't know where I'm going in another lifetime, but I do know that whatever I've lived through so far, I no longer will want to repeat if I get embodied again when I come back.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. The message I was asking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the new Earth is at a higher vibration plane than the Earth we live on, but it's not the spirit side. So it's not the spirit side is still different. So when we're trying to increase our vibrations and ascend to the new Earth, we're still on the physical plane, but at a higher vibration. And so when the people there, they eventually do die, their physical bodies die, usually after a few hundred years because they don't have disease or anything like that, then their souls go back to the spirit side. And so when you're back in the spirit side, you can then choose, if you want to reincarnate, you can say, well, do I want to reincarnate back on the new Earth, or do I want to go back to being a human on the old Earth? And it's just really a question of what you need to, what sort of experience you need for your evolution, and you can choose to do either or. But there's a lot of people who have actually ascended to the new Earth and passed back into spirit, who are now saying, well, the new Earth is great, but I really want to help those poor souls those humans back on the old Earth. I really want to help them sort of find their way to the new Earth. And so a lot of them very advanced, experienced souls, as I said, are incarnating as humans and have been for the last number of years to try to help humans over this sort of threshold that we have to step over to get to the new Earth before we kill ourselves and destroy our planet. So that's the goal. But eventually, whether you make the ascension to the new Earth now, you'll still go back to the spirit side when you die, and then you can, as I say, you can choose to come back in a physical body on the old Earth, or you can incarnate on the new Earth if you want. There's a better chance you'd come back as a human on the old Earth because that's more challenging. Frankly, life on the new Earth is very idyllic, not too many challenges, and so as a soul, you're probably not going to grow that much if that's where you go back to. But on our Earth here, which is a very tough school, as you know, there's oodles of challenges, and it's really a great way for souls coming back to try to help humans, move on and get up the spiritual ladder. So it's a very fascinating process, and I'm very excited. I'm trying to do my part. The Council of Wise Ones said, part of my job is to spread the message that Albert was giving me, to talk about the places he was taking me, to try to get the message to everyone. And there's so many other people spreading the message on Earth. You're doing so with your radio show, Mary. There's lots of people who are all over the world who are channeling spirit, and the messages are becoming more intense because they really want to sort of do the full court press on humanity to get us over the hurdles that we face right now. So it's a very exciting time, and you're certainly doing your part, Mary. And whether or not you've had direct communication with your guides like I did, I think you know in your own heart that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in terms of helping others on their journey.
Right. Well, I know the biggest thing that I've realized is I do have the channeling. Being able to connect and hear the messages. And it's becoming more profound, because the more that we become awake and aware, the more profound the messages come, because they're going, do it. Get out there and make a difference. Get out there and show them. which, is definitely my excitement because that's my passion. At one time I could say there was that fear, right? That kind of was holding me back. But now, moving 10 steps forward in several different aspects. But, Garnet, really quick, could you share with the audience and even me, because I want to hear what the council have told you, because it doesn't make any difference how you live this life. You still go to one place, come here, and then you go back to spirit world. And it doesn't matter how you fall out on this plane, right? You said the good go there, the people who may not necessarily, I don't want to say bad, but have chosen the dark side more and the negative side more. What happens to them? I mean, it's because to me, if we have this free will planet that we're living on, right, anybody has free reign and free choice, and all of these horrific experiences that you were talking about alone is inhumane to me. What happens to these people that are inhumane or are doing these things that are destructive? How does that happen? Because where is that okay? Because to me, it's not.
Well, first of all, as Albert explained to me, God or the source or the creator, however you want to term it, doesn't make rules for us to follow. So contrary to what most organized religions say, Mary, God doesn't make rules for us to follow, and no matter what we do on earth, when we die, we don't go before our Maker to be judged and then be dealt with punishment, sent to hell if we're bad. There is no hell. Everyone goes back to the spirit side. And why do bad things happen on earth? Well, there's two reasons according to Albert. In some cases, bad deeds are actually planned by the souls in their life plans before they're born. And you might say, well, why would you do this? Well, it could be for two reasons. One is that the soul in question may want to experience, the reaction that he or she gets by doing some bad misdeeds. That might be an experience they want to have. Or it may be that that person has volunteered to do something bad to another soul who wants to experience, being killed or injured or abused. So sometimes it's planned. Other cases, it's not planned. It's because we all have free wills, and we don't remember why we came here or what we put in our life plans. And so sometimes our free will just run amok and go way off course, and we do horrible things because of that. So those are the two ways that bad things happen. But no matter which way it occurs, everyone goes back to the spirit side, basically because there's no other place to go. And, and I said to Albert when he told me this, well, that seems a bit unfair that a serial killer, goes to heaven the same as me. Where's the justice in this? And he said, well, you're looking at it from an earthly perspective. He said, when you're on the spirit side, you understand the reality of incarnations and life on earth. He said, it's like you're in a play. He said, if you're in a play on earth and the script calls for you to stab and kill another actor, well, when the curtain goes down and you leave the theater, the police don't arrest you for murder because it didn't really happen. It was a play. And so whatever happens on the earth plane, no matter how real it seems to us, Mary, when we get back in the spirit side, all the souls know that, well, people were just following their scripts, and sometimes they went off course, but that's just what life on earth is all about. And so, if you've killed somebody on earth, when you get back to the spirit side, your victim doesn't feel any hatred or any need for revenge because you just share unconditional love because you understand what life on earth was all about. That's hard for us to understand, but that's exactly what happens. So that's why the bad guys go to heaven, because what they did on earth was not really anything other than like acting in a play. And so, and we keep on going through these plays over and over, incarnating as many times as we like, taking different roles, writing our own scripts, and we do that so we can learn and experience. And even the guys who go way off course and kill other people, well, when they get back to the spirit side, they look back on their life and they look at it and say, oh, gee, I went off course. What can I do next time to make amends and live a better life? And so they look at it as a learning experience. And so there's no remorse or guilt. Hard for us to understand, Mary, but that's how it works.
Because then to me, if we look at other different modalities, right, whether it's astrology, numerology, so just to name a few, I mean, I probably could name a lot more, but we talk about the law of karma, or we talk about the universal laws. And the contract, right, is to, our purpose here, number one, is for lessons, right? It's all about the lessons and evolving and elevating humankind, or how I interpret it. But when we talk about karmatic experiences or things that were karmatic in our past lives, gives us the opportunity to get back and be on the correct course, I guess is what I call it, right? So if everything is gone once we meet that spirit world, but then we look at that evaluation you were talking about. Wow, I did really good here. Ooh, I went off course here. Ooh, okay, I'm ready to go back in and relive this and change the course of my actions. Would that be an interpretation of karmatic experience, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, because when you do, just to elaborate a bit more in a life review, when you cross over to the spirit side, when you're ready, you have a life review, which is a very detailed review of your life, and according to Albert, and in fact, he gave me one of my experiences on the spirit side with him that I describe in this book is that he took me to the Akashic records, which are the records of every life that's ever lived in the universe, and in there I went over a few aspects of my life, my current life, but the full life review everyone has, it's quite amazing because you can watch your life as though you're watching a 3D movie, or you can actually sort of go back into your human body and feel and see everything you did during your life, and you can also hear and feel the thoughts and emotions of the people you interact with. So you get a really full dose of your review. And on my brief, he showed me 3 segments of my current life, and the purpose for that is that he wanted us to realize that we can cause hurt to other people sort of very unknowingly, just by not speaking, correctly, not paying attention to what the other people may be thinking when you're speaking, and so you can cause people a lot of hurt. And then one example he showed me of a segment from my life when I was in grade 7, and I was teasing one of my friends who was pudgy, and teasing about his being overweight and slow as we were running on the playground, and then I heard this guy's thoughts, and it was like, oh no, I thought you were my friend. Why are you embarrassing me? I feel awful. And it's a sort of thing that at the time I didn't think anything of it, but when you have this life review, you can see, why did I do that? There was no need to do that. He was a nice guy, and I was making fun of him, And so those are the kinds of things you get in your life review, and that's all just part of a learning experience. And all too often, and not just the bad things, but we don't realize sometimes that some of the things we do that are good, we don't really realize we've done them because we don't really understand how we reacted with people that are sitting across the desk from us or walking down the street when we do something kind. So he also showed me one of those where it was like, and I thought, wow, what I did, I didn't think very much of it, but I really made a big difference to this other person. So the lesson there was he was saying, as you go through life, stop and think about what you do and what you say briefly before you do it, because you never know how the other person is going to take it. And there's no need to cause anguish and grief on somebody else when it's not necessary. So it was very much of a learning experience, and it's something that I'll get the full life review when I cross over. But we all do good things, and we all do some things we wish we hadn't. But it's all part of the learning experience, and this is very much of a learning tool. So it was quite amazing.
Wow. Well, I know that just a couple of things that you had touched on is, what we consider good, or what, making sure that we're always, taking time to think about what we say before we speak it, not only internally but externally. Words mean things. And I have said this over and over again, your words are a vibration, your thoughts are a vibration, your actions are a vibration. It's all creating that alignment to do what's for the highest good, is what I would say to me. I know that some of my experiences that I've had on this planet, I'm so thankful and grateful to be able to have learned the lessons, because there's some things I don't want to repeat and when I come back here. And there's even some part of me, because I am an older soul, that I'm like, no, this is my last time of my completion. I don't want to have to go through this. I want to do everything. I want to correct this life path so that I feel good, even here before I die. Audience, I hope that you have gathered a great deal of wisdom and knowledge from Garnet. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get all of his contact information, where you can find his books and his website. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Love Alchemy Radio on Intention Radio with our host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. Humanity's purpose is recovery and to love all things. A spiritual journey to divine love. Heal your heart, awaken your purpose, and live.
Aloha, and thank you ever so much for tuning in to Intention Radio. David Nettinger, one of your hosts that we have here at Intention Radio, and part of the family. And what we mean by family, all of you are that are listening. We are all connected. And what I mean by that, scientific studies show what spirituality already has known. Our hearts put out a vibration, if I can get right to the point. It's an electrical shock, so to speak. It reaches everywhere on the universe. And I know this isn't an open statement, but it does. Science has shown this. Thank you ever so much for sharing your vibration with us today on our show on Intention Radio.
Join me, Carly Alyssa Thorne, every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Conscious Co-Creations here at IntentionRadio.com.
IntentionRadio.com. Every Saturday, the world comes together to connect like never before. Thousands of powerful meditations reunite with a focused intention to create a shared experience that will impact the world around you. It's 15 minutes, and you can join no matter where you are. Visit www.intentioncall.com. That's www.intentioncall.com.
Join me, Soraya Dean, as we explore conversations at the Peace Table every Tuesday on IntentionRadio.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is your host, Mary Chambers. A transformation to love, sharing love, and accepting love. The Love Alchemy Show is about transforming love. Love for self, love for others, and unconditional love. Igniting your passion. When you ignite your passion, you are living with purpose. To find out more about the Love Alchemy Radio Show or Monumental Moments, go to www.monumentalmoments.net. To receive a free coaching session, text Ignite Passion to 33733. That was Ignite Passion to 33733, or email me at monumentalmoments13@yahoo.com. Thank you again for tuning in to the Love Alchemy Show on Intention Radio. This is Mary Chambers, and oh my gosh, today we have learned so much from Garnet and what he is sharing about Albert, his spirit guide, and the experiences that he's had through astral planing and being able to have the opportunity to see things from a different perspective, from a different dimension, and he is here sharing it, speaking loud to all of you. So let's listen to Garnet, read his books, share the experience, look at your life and then the things that you want to do to increase your vibration, to create a better you, and to step into that soul purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. So Garnet, I mean, gosh, wow. How amazing this experience that you're sharing with the masses. I mean, what would be some of your biggest, if you could share with the audience, 3 real strong elements about stepping into their greatness, what would they be?
First of all, you have to understand that as you make your way through life, that you create your own reality. So when bad things happen to you, you can't take the approach of being a victim that God or the universe is doing this to you. You chose your life, you chose it for a purpose, and you have to go through life reacting to things in a positive way and never feel that you are the victim. And then you have to understand that the biggest thing you can do is to embrace love. You have to embrace love and try to get rid of your negative emotions. So if you ever feel like you should react in a harmful or hurtful way to things that happen to you, you need to remember that love is the answer, and that you need to change your reaction to one of love and forgiveness and compassion. And if you can live your life that way, you'll be most of the way on your journey. And then you also need to remember that you get a lot of help in this life, and you have spirit guides. Everyone does, and they're always sending you messages, very subtle messages. And the trick is to slow down your mind and learn to hear the messages and recognize them for what they are, because they're trying to guide you. And when you come to a fork in the road or a place where you have to make a decision, they're trying to guide you down the path that you had chosen for yourself before you were born. And if you come better at listening to these messages, you will end up having a better life, because you're following the path that you wanted to. You'll be more fulfilled, and you'll just have a happier journey. Like, nobody says you have to be have a bad journey on Earth, because no matter what happens to you, you can always take it the right way and take it in the right light, and learn from the experience and move on. And that's the way to enjoy your journey and get the most out of it. And so,
wow.
And one last thing I wanted to just pick up on was that you mentioned about thoughts or vibration. Well, they are indeed. And what a lot of us don't realize is that thoughts are really energy, and energy can go and affect other energy and other matter. And focused thoughts are way more powerful than just unfocused thoughts. Like a laser beam is more powerful than a flashlight beam. And so if we want to accomplish things here on this plane, we have to learn to focus our thoughts, be repetitive in our thoughts, and above all, realize that when we're having a conversation with ourselves in our mind, we're really having a conversation with the universe, because our thoughts spread out and fan out, and they do affect other people, other things, and so we really have to be careful about what we think.
Right. That was the best. I mean, everything has been amazing that you share with us today, but really, truly, the biggest takeaway for everybody to really, truly realize you're in control of your destiny. You're in control of your thoughts. You're in control of your actions. You're in control of your feelings. And it's really learning how to harness the feelings, focus your thoughts, and set your intention and focus on the great things that you are working for yourself and for humanity. So, Garnet, how can our audience get a hold of you and get a hold of your book? Can you share your contact information?
Right. Well, the best place is to go to my website, which is dancingonastap.com. And there's information about both of my books. There's my email address is there, and I certainly welcome comments and questions from your listeners, Mary. My email address is right there, and they should feel free to send me their communication. In terms of buying the book, I have a long list of online bookstores on my website where you can click on so you can order the book. Many the books, many of the bricks and mortar stores will carry my books, but if your favorite store doesn't have it, they can certainly order it for you. Most of the stuff they need is on my website. I have book trailers for both of my books there. I have you can download excerpts from both books. There's a synopsis there. On my video page, there's videos and recordings of all my radio shows and other appearances. So you can click on any of those, including this one. We'll get on there eventually. And my previous show with you, Mary, is on there. And so there's lots of information, but I certainly welcome comments and questions by email.
Absolutely. And we will definitely look forward to having you back again. You definitely have an amazing story that I think the masses need to hear. So we definitely want to have you back. So your second book is launched.
Well, my second book is supposed to be released at the end of March of this year. But I finished my third book last fall, sent it to my publisher, So I'd certainly love to be back on your show, Mary, when my third book is out. Now, my third book is entitled Dance of Heavenly Bliss.
Well, so you said there definitely was going to be a trilogy on this.
Yep. Well, actually, there's four or five probably in total.
For all we know, it could be a whole series that just keeps on going and flowing, right?
Right. I expect that is what will happen, Mary.
Absolutely. Yes, we will have you back when your next book comes out. It's been a pleasure. Garnet Schulhauser, Dancing on a Stamp, as well as Dancing Forever with Spirit. So thank you again for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Love Alchemy Radio on Intention Radio, sponsored by Monumental Moments. To find out more about Love Alchemy Radio, Monumental Moments, or to sign up to receive a free coaching session, go to www.monumentalmoments.net or contact Mary at monumentalmoments13@yahoo.com.